Hi guys, I'm back. Today I'm going to 2 Samuel 10-15, Proverbs 14, and Psalm 138. Let's get started. After this, the king of the Ammonites died, and Hanun his son reigned in his place. And David said, I'll deal loyally with Hanun's son Nahash, as his father dealt loyally with me. David sent by a servant to console him concerning his father. And David's servants came into the land of the Ammonites. But the princes of the Ammonites had turned their law. Do you think that because David has sent comforters to you that he is honoring your father? Now David sent his servants to search the sea and spy out to overthrow. So Hanun took David's servants and shaved off half of their beard and cut off their garments in the middle of their hips and sent them away. When it was told David, he went to send to meet them, for the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, remain in Jericho until your beards have grown back, and then return. And Ammonites saw that they had become a stench to David. The Ammonites sent and hired the Syrians of Rahab, the Syrians of Zerah, 20,000 foot soldiers, and the king of Maacah with 1,000 men, and the men of Tob 12,000 men. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the host of the mighty men. And the Ammonites came out and drew up in battle array, and at the entrance of the gate. And the Syrian and Zerah and of Rahab and the men of Tob and of Maacah were by themselves in their open country. And Joab saw that the battle was set against him both in front and from the east. In the rear, he chose some of his best men of Israel and arrayed them against the Syrians. The rest of his men he put in charge of the Abishai battle, and he arrayed them against the Ammonites. Then he said, if the Syrians are too strong for me, then you shall help me. If the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come and help you. Be of good courage, and let us be courageous for our people, and for the cities of our God. And may the Lord do what seems good to us. So Joab and the people with him drew near to battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. And when the Ammonites sword of the Syrian fled, they likewise fled before Abishai and into the city. And Joab retired from fighting against the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem. And when the Syrians saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they gathered themselves together, and had a certain number of the Syrians who were beyond the Euphrates. They came to Helam, with Shobach the commander of the army of Hadaz at their head. When it was told David, he gathered all Israel together and crossed the Jordan and came to Helam. The Syrians arrayed themselves against David and fought with him, and the Syrians fled before Israel. And David killed the Syrians, 700 chariots, 40,000 horsemen, and we just Shobach the commander of the army, so that he died there. And all the kings who served Hadaz saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they made peace with Israel, and became subject to him. So the Syrians were afraid to save the Ammonites anymore. And in the spring of the year, the time when the kings got to battle, David sent Joab and his servants with them. And they roused the Ammonites and besieged Rabbah. But David remained at Jerusalem. It happened late one afternoon, and David arose from the couch and was walking on the roof of the king's house. And he saw from the roof a woman bathing, and the woman was very beautiful. And David went and inquired about the woman. And once, is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? So David sent messengers and took her, and she came to him, and he lay with her. And she returned to her house, and the woman conceived, and she sent and told David, I am pregnant. And David sent word to Joab, send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David, and Uriah came to him. David asked how Joab was doing, and how the people were doing, and how the war was going. And David said to Uriah, go down to your house and wash your feet. And Uriah went out of the king's house, and there followed him a present from the king. And Uriah stopped at the door of the king's house, with all the servants of his lord, and did not go down to his house. Then they told David, Uriah did not go down to his house. David said to Uriah, have you not come from a journey? Why did you not go down to your house? Uriah said to David, the ark of Israel and Judah dwell in Booth, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are camping in the open field. Shall I then go to my house to eat and drink of my and Jun, and to lie with my wife. As you live, and as your soul lives, I will not do the same. Then David said to Uriah, remain here today, and tomorrow I'll send you back. Uriah remained in Jerusalem that day and the next, and David invited him, and he ate his presence and drank, so that he made him drunk. In the evening he went out to lie on his couch with the servants of the Lord, but he did not go down to his house. In the morning David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. In the letter he wrote, send Uriah in front of the forefront of the house fighting, and then draw back from him, that he may be struck dead and die. And as Joab was besieging the city, he assigned Uriah to the place where he knew they were valiant men. Then the men of the city came out and fought with Joab, and some of the servants of David among the people fell. Uriah the Hittite also died. Then Joab told David all the news about the fight, and he instructed the messenger. Then you finished telling all the news about the fighting to the king. Then if the king's anger rises, and if he says to him, why did you go so near to the city to fight? Do you not know when they were shoot from the wall? He could have been like the son of Jerubasheth. Did there not a woman cast an upper millstone over him from the wall, so that he died of Thebes? And why did you go so near the wall? Then you shall say, your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger went and came and told David all that Joab had sent him to tell. And the messenger said to David, the men gained an advantage over us and came out against us in the hill. Now he drove them back to the entrance of the gate. You then the archers shouted your servants from the wall. Some of the king's servants are dead, and your servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. David said to the messenger, thus you shall say to Joab, no, do not let this matter displease you. The sword devours now one and now another. Strengthen your attack against the sea and overthrow it, and encourage him. But the attack of Uriah, and the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah's husband was dead. She lamented over her husband, and when the mourning was over, David sent and brought her to his house, and she became his wife and bore him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord, and the Lord sent Nathan to David. He came and said to him, there were two men in a certain city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had very many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing but one little ewe lamb, which he had brought. And he brought it out, and he grew up with him and with his children. He used to eat of his morsel and drink from his cup and lie in his arms, and it was like a daughter to him. Now there came a traveller to the rich man, and he was unwilling to take one of his seven flock to her to prepare for the guest who had come to him. But he took the poor man's lamb and prepared it for the man who had come to him. And then David's anger was greatly kindled against the man, and he said to Nathan, as the Lord lives, the man who has done this deserves to die, but he shall restore the lamb fourfold. Because he did this thing, and because he had no pity, Nathan said to David, you are that man. Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel. I anointed you king over Israel, and I delivered you out of the hand of Saul. And I gave you your master's house and your master's wives into your arms, and gave you the house of Israel and Judah. And if this were too little, I would add to you as much more. Why then have you despised the word of the Lord, to do what is evil in his sight? You struck down Uriah the Hittite with a sword, and have taken his wife to be your wife, and have killed him with the sword of the Ammonites. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from your house, because you have despised me, and have taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be your wife. Thus says the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against you and your own house, and I'll take your wives before your eyes, and give them to your neighbor, and you shall lie with your wives in the sight of the sun, for you did secretly. I'll do this thing before you and before the sun. David said to Nathan, I am sinning against the Lord. And Nathan said to David, the Lord has put away your sin, you shall not do. Nevertheless, because by this deed you have utterly scorned the Lord, the child who was born to you shall die. And Nathan went to his house. And the Lord afflicted the child that Uriah's wife bore to David, and he became sick. David therefore sought God on behalf of the child. And David fasted and went in and lay on the ground. And the elder of his house stood beside him to raise him from the ground. But he would not, nor did he eat food with him. On the seventh day from the ground, but he would not. On the seventh day the child died. And the servants of David were afraid to tell him that the child was dead. And they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spoke to him, and he did not listen to us. How then can we say to him, the child is dead? He may do himself some harm. When David saw that his servants were whispering together, David understood that the child was dead. And David said to his servants, "Is the child dead?" They said, "He is dead." And David arose from the earth and washed and anointed himself and changed his clothes. And he went into the house of the Lord and worshipped. He then went to his own house, and he asked, they set food before him, and he ate. Then his servant said to him, "What is this thing that you've done?" You fasted and wept for the child, while he was alive. When the child died, you arose and ate food. He said, "While the child was still alive, I fasted and wept, for I said, who knows whether the little Lord will be gracious to him, that the child may live. But now he is dead. Why should I fast? Can I bring him back again? And I shall go to him, but he will not return to me." And David comforted his wife Bathsheba and went into her and lay with her, and she bore a son. And she called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him and sent a message by Nathan the prophet. So he called his name Jedidiah, because of the Lord. Now Joab fought against Rabbah of the Ammonites and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, "I have fought against Rabbah. Moreover, I have taken the sea of waters. Now then, gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it, lest when I take the sea, and it be called by night." So David gathered all the people together and went to Rabbah and fought against Israel and took it. And he took the heap of crown that came from his head. The weight of it was a talent of gold, and in it was a precious stone. And it was placed on David's head, and he brought out the spoil of the city, a very great amount. And he brought out the people who were in it, and set them to labor, saws and iron picks and iron axes, the men that toil at the brick kilns. And thus he did all the cities of the Ammonites. Then David and all the people returned to Jerusalem. Now Absalom, David's son, had a beautiful sister. His name was Tamar. And after a time, Ammon, David's son, loved her. And Ammon was so tormented that he made himself ill because of his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and it seemed impossible for Ammon to do anything to her. But Ammon had a friend, whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimei, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very crafty man. And he said to him, "O son of the king, why are you so haggard morning after morning? How will you not tell me?" Ammon said to him, "I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." And Jonadab said to him, "Lie down on your bed and pretend to be ill, and when your father comes to see you, say to her, 'Let my sister Tamar come and give me bread to eat and prepare the food of my sight, so that I may see and eat from her hand.'" So Ammon lay down and pretended to be ill. And when the king came to see him, Ammon said to him, "Please let my sister Tamar come and make a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat from her hand." Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, "Go to your brother Ammon's house and prepare food for him." So Tamar went to her brother Ammon's house, where he was lying down. And she took dough and kneaded it and made cakes in the sight and baked the cakes. And she took the pan and emptied it out before him. He refused to eat. And Ammon said, "Send out everyone from me." So everyone went out from him. Then Ammon said to Tamar, "Bring me the food into the chamber, that I may eat from your hand." And then Tamar took the cakes that she had made and brought them into the chamber to Ammon her brother. And when she brought them and knew him to eat, he took hold of her and said to her, "Come, lie with me, my sister." She answered him, "No, my brother, do not violate me, for such a thing is not done in Israel. Do not do this outrageously. As for me, where could I carry my shame? And as for you, you would not be as one of the outrageous fools in Israel. Now therefore, please speak to the king, for he will not withhold me from you." And he would not listen to her, and being stronger than she, he violated her and lay with her. And Ammon hated her with very great hatred, so that the hatred with which he hated her was greater than the love with which he loved her. And Ammon said to her, "Get up, go." But she said to him, "No, my brother, for this one is in sending me away is greater than the one that you did to me." And he would not listen to her. He called to the young man who served him and said, "Let this woman out of my presence," and bolted the door after her. Now she was wearing a long robe with sleeves, for thus were the virgin daughters of the king's dress. So her servant put her out and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her hair and tore the long robe that she wore. And she laid her hand on her head and went away, crying aloud as she went. And her brother Absalom said to her, "Has Ammon your brother been with you? Now hold your peace, my sister. He is your brother. Do not take this to heart." So Tamar lived a desolate woman in her brother Absalom's house. When King David heard of all these things, he was very angry. But Absalom spoke to Ammon, neither good nor bad. But Absalom hated Ammon because he violated his sister Tamar. After 2 full years, Absalom had sheep shearers at Baal Hazel, which is near Ephraim, and Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold, your servant has sheep shearers. And he let the king and his servants go with your son. And the king said to Absalom, No, my son, let us not all go, lest we be burdensome to. He pressed him, but he would not go, but gave him his blessing. And Absalom said, If not, please let my brother Ammon go with us. And the king said to him, Why should he go with you? But Absalom pressed him until he let Ammon and all the king's sons go with him. And Absalom commanded his servants, Mark when Ammon's heart is merry with mine. When I say to you, strike Ammon, then kill him. Do not fear, have I not commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. So the servants of Ammon did to Ammon as Absalom had commanded. And all the king's sons arose, and each mounted his mule and fled, while they were on their way, and news came to David. Absalom had struck down all the king's sons, and not one of them was left. And the king arose and tore his garments and lay on the earth, and all the servants who were standing by tore their garments. But Jonadab the son of Shimei, David's brother, said, Let not my lord suppose they have killed all the young men, the king's sons, for Ammon alone is dead. For by the command of Absalom, this has been determined from the day he violated his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take a task so as to suppose all the king's sons are dead, for Ammon alone is dead. Absalom fled. So the young man who kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, many people were coming from the road behind him by the side of the banner. And Jonadab said to him, Behold, the king's sons have come, and as your servant said, so it is coming. And as soon as the king finished speaking, behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and said, wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very bitterly. Yet Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur, and David meant for his son day after day. Absalom fled and went to Geshur and was there 3 years. And the spirit of the king longed to go out to Absalom, because he was comforted about Ammon since he was dead. Now Joab, son of Zeruiah, knew that the king's heart went out to Absalom. And Joab sent his Tekoa and brought from there a wise woman and said to her, Pretend to be a man and put on mourning garments. Do not anoint yourself with oil, but behave like a woman who has been mourning many days for the dead. Well, go to the king and speak thus to him. So Joab put the words in his mouth. And the woman of Tekoa came to the king, and she fell on her face to the ground and paid homage and said, Save me, O king. And the king said to her, Where is your trouble? What is your trouble? Oh, he said, Alas, I am a widow, my husband is dead, and his servant had 2 sons, and they quarreled with one another in the field. There was no one to separate them, and one struck the other and killed him. And now the whole plan has risen against your son, and they say, Give up the man who struck his brother, so that we may put him to death for the life of the brother whom he killed. And so they would destroy the heir also. Thus they would quench my coal that is left, and leave to my husband neither name nor remnant on the face of the earth. And the king said to the woman, Go to your house, and I'll give orders concerning you. And the woman of Tekoa said to the king, Let me be to kill my lord the king, and on my father's house let the king come, and his throne be guiltless. The king said, If anyone is prepared, says anything to you, bring him to me, and he shall never touch you again. And she said, Please let my king invoke the Lord your God, the avenger of blood, kill an animal, and my son be not destroyed. He said, As the Lord lives, not one hair of your son shall fall to the ground. And the woman said, Please let your servant speak a word to my lord the king. He said, Speak. And the Lord said, Why then have you planned such a thing against the people of God? When giving this decision, the king commits himself. Inasmuch as the king does not bring his banished one home again, we must all die. We are like water that spilled on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. And God will not take away life, and he devises means so that the banished one will not remain in their cause. Now I have come to say that to my lord the king, because the people have made me afraid. And the servant thought, will speak to the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his servant. But the king will hear and deliver his servant from the hand of the man who destroyed me and my son, together from the heritage of God. And the servant thought, the word of my lord the king will set me at rest, for the Lord my king the king's like angel of God, to discern good and evil. The Lord your God be with you. And the king answered the woman, do not hide from me anything I ask you. And the woman said, let my lord the king speak. The king said, is the hand of Joab with you in all this? The woman answered, as sure as you live, my lord the king, you cannot turn to the right or to the hand or to the left or from anything that my lord the king has said. Who is your servant Joab who commanded me? As he put all these words in my mouth. In order to change the course of things, your servant Joab did this. And my Lord has wisdom like the wisdom of the angel of God to know all things that are on the earth. And the king said to Joab, behold, now I grant this. Go, bring back the young man, Absalom. And Joab fell on his face into the ground and paid homage and blessed the king. And Joab said, today's servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord the king, and that the king has granted the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him dwell apart in his own house. He is not to come into my presence. So Absalom lived apart in his own house and did not come into the king's presence. Now in all Israel there was no one so much to be praised for his handsome appearance as Absalom. From the sole of his foot to the crown of his head there was no blemish in him. And when he cut the hair of his head, he weighed the hair of his head 200 shekels by the king's weight. There were born to Absalom 3 sons, and one daughter whose name was Tamar. She was a beautiful woman. So Absalom lived 2 full years in Jerusalem without coming into the king's presence. Then Absalom sent for Joab to send him to the king, but Joab would not come to him. And he sent a second time, but Joab would not come. And he said to his servants, see, Joab's field is next to mine, and he is barley there. Go and set it on fire. So Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and went to Absalom at his house and said to him, why have your servants set your field, my field on fire? Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent word to you, but you didn't. I sent word to you. Come here, that I may send you to the task. Why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me to be there still. Now therefore let me go into the presence of the king, and if he is guilty in me, let him there. Let him put me to death. And Joab unto the king and told him, and he pleased. And he said unto Absalom. So he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. After this, Absalom got himself a chariot and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom used to rise early and stand beside the way of the king. And when any man had a dispute to come before the king of judgment, Absalom would call him to say, from what city and from what city are you? And when he said, your servant is of such and such a tribe in Israel, Absalom would say to him, see, your claims are good and right, and there is no man designated by the king to say to you, and Absalom would say, oh, that I would judge in the land, that every man with a dispute or cause might come to me, and I would give him justice. And whenever a man came near to pay homage to him, he would put out his hand and take hold of him and kiss him. And thus Absalom did to all Israel. He came to the king of judgment. Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And at the end of the 4 years, Absalom said to the king, please let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed to the Lord. And he went, for his son vowed a vow while I lived at Geshur now, saying, if the Lord will indeed bring me back to Jerusalem, then I will offer worship to the Lord. And the king said to him, go in peace. So I arose and went to Hebron. Absalom sent secret messengers throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then say, Absalom is the king of Hebron. With Absalom went 200 men from Jerusalem who were invited guests, and they went in their innocence and knew nothing. And while Absalom was offering their sacrifices, he sent for Ahithophel the Gilonite, David's counselor, from the city Gilo, and the conspiracy grew strong, and the people with Absalom kept increasing. And a messenger came to David, saying, the hearts of the men of Israel have gone after Absalom. And David said to all his servants who were with him at Jerusalem, arise and let us leave, or else there will be no escape for us from Absalom. Go quickly, lest he overtake us quickly and bring down ruin on us and strike the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servant said to the king, behold, your servants are ready to do whatever my lord the king decides. So the king went out, and all his household after him, and the king left 10 concubines to keep the house. And the king went out, and and all the people after him, and they halted at the last house. And all the servants passed by him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the 600 Gittites who had followed him from Gath, halted before the king. And the king said to Ittai the Gittite, "Why do you go, Ursula, go with us? Go back and stay with the king, for you are a foreigner and also an exile from your home. You came only yesterday, and shall I today make you wander about with us, since I go, I know not where. Go back and take your brothers with you, and may the Lord show steadfast love and faithfulness to you." But Ittai answered the king, "As the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king shall be, wherever for death or for life, there also your servant will be." And David said to Ittai, "Go then, pass on." So Ittai the Gittite passed on with all his men and all the little ones who were with him, and all the land wept and laughed as all the people passed by. And the king crossed the brook Kidron, and all the people passed on toward the wilderness. And Abiathar came out, and behold, Zadok came also with all the Levites, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God until the people had all passed out of the sea. And the king said to Zadok, "Carry the ark of God back into the sea. If I find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back and see me both it and its dwelling place. But if he says, I have no pleasure in you, behold, here I am, and let him do to me what seems good to him." The king also said to Zadok the priest, "Are you not a seer? Go back to the sea in peace, and with your 2 sons, Ahimaaz your son, and Jonathan son of Abiathar. See, I'll wait at the fords of the wilderness until word comes from you to inform me." So Zadok and Abiathar carried the ark of God back to Jerusalem, and they remained there. David went up the ascent of the Mount of Olives, weeping as he went, barefoot and with his head covered, and all the people who were with him covered their heads as they went, weeping as they went. And it was told to David, "Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom." And David said, "O Lord, please turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness." While David was coming to the summit, God was worshipped. Behold, Hushai the archer came to meet him with his coat torn and dirt on his head. David said to him, "If you go on with me, you will be a burden to me. If you return to see him, say to Absalom, I'll be your servant, O king. As I have been your father's servant in time past, so now I'll be your servant. Then you'll defeat for me the counsel of Ahithophel." So are not Zadok and Abiathar the priest with you there? So whatever you hear from the king's house, tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priest. Behold, their 2 sons are with them there, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son. And Barnaby shall send to me everything he hears. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the sea, just as Absalom was entering Jerusalem. Proverbs 14. The ways of woman builds a house, but the folly with her own hands tears it down. Whoever walks in uprightness fears the Lord, but he who is devious in his ways despises him. By the mouth of the fool comes a rod for his back, but the lips of the wise will preserve. There are no ox in the manger is clean, but abundant crops come by the strength of the ox. A faithful witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. If a scoffer seeks wisdom in vain, then knowledge is easy for a man of understanding. Leave the presence of a fool, for they do not meet words of knowledge. Wisdom of the prudent is to discern his way, and the folly of fools is to see. Fools mock at the guilt of him, and the upright enjoy acceptance. The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. The house of the wicked will be destroyed, but the tongue of the upright will flourish. There is a way that seems right to a man, and its end is way to death. Even a laughter's heart may ache, and the end of joy may be grief. The backslider in heart will be filled with the fruit of his ways, and a good man will be filled with the fruit of his ways. The simple believes everything, but the prudent gives thought to his steps. One who is wise is cautious and turns away from evil, but a fool is reckless and careless. A man of quick temper acts foolishly, and a man of evil devices is hated. The simple inherit folly, but the prudent are crowned with knowledge. The evil bow down before the good, the wicked at the gates of the righteous. The poor is disliked even by his neighbor, but the rich is many crimes. Whoever despises his neighbor is a sinner. No, blessed is he who is generous to the poor. Do they not go astray who divide evil? Those who devise good meet good, service love, and faithfulness. In all trouble there is profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. The crown of the wise is their wealth, but the folly of fools brings folly. The truthful witness saves lives, the one who breathes out lies is deceitful. In the fear of the Lord one has strong confidence, and his children will have a refuge. In the fear of the Lord is a fountain of life, and one may turn away from the snares of death. In a multitude of people is the glory of a king, but without people a prince is ruined. Whoever is slow to anger is great understanding, but he who has hasty temper exalts folly. And a tranquil heart gives life to the flesh, but envy makes the bones grow. Whoever oppresses a poor man insults his maker, He is generous to the needy, honest, but the wicked is overthrown through his evil doing. As the righteous finds refuge in his death, wisdom was in the hearts of the man of understanding. That it makes itself known even in the midst of fools. Righteousness exalts a nation, but sinners are reproached to any people. As somebody deals wisely has the king's favor, but his wrath falls on one who acts shamefully. Psalm 138. I give you thanks, O Lord, with my whole heart. Before the gods, I sing your praise. I bow down toward your holy temple and give thanks to your name for your steadfast love and your faithfulness. For you have exalted above all things your name and your word. On the day I called, you answered me, and my strength and soul you increased. All the kings of the earth shall give you thanks, O Lord, for they have heard the words of your mouth. They shall sing of the ways of the Lord, for great is the glory of the Lord. Although the Lord is high, he regards the lowly, but the haughty he knows from afar. That I walk in the midst of trouble, you preserve my life. You stretch out my hand against the wrath of my enemies, and your right hand delivers me. Your long full purpose for me, your steadfast love, Lord, endures forever. Do not forsake the work of your hands. That is done, I should not do the Lord's Prayer. Please bow your hands, our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we have forgiven our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. For yours is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. See you tomorrow. Bye.